Star Wars: The Force Awakens, also known as Star Wars, Episode 7, The Force Awakens, is a 2015 American epic space opera film produced, co-written, and directed by J.J. Abrams. The sequel to Return of the Jedi, 1983, it is the first installment of the Star Wars sequel trilogy and chronologically the seventh film of the Skywalker saga. Set 30 years after Return of the Jedi, The Force Awakens follows Rey, Finn, Poe Dameron, and Han Solo's search for Luke Skywalker and their fight in the Resistance, led by General Leia Organa and veterans of the Rebel Alliance, against Kylo Ren and the First Order, a successor to the Galactic Empire. The film stars Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Adam Driver, Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, Lupita Nyong'o, Andy Serkis, Domhnall Gleeson, Anthony Daniels, Peter Mayhew, and Max von Sydow. Work on a seventh entry in the Skywalker saga commenced after the Walt Disney Company's acquisition of Lucasfilm in 2012. The film is the first Star Wars film to not extensively involve franchise creator George Lucas, who only served as a creative consultant in the early stages of production. The Force Awakens was produced by Abrams, his longtime collaborator Brian Burke, and Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy. Abrams and Lawrence Kasdan, co-writer of the original trilogy films The Empire Strikes Back, 1980, and Return of the Jedi, rewrote an initial script by Michael Arndt. John Williams, composer for the previous episodic films, returned to compose the score. Principal photography began in April 2014 and concluded the following November. Filming took place on sets at Pinewood Studios in England, and on location mainly in Abu Dhabi, Iceland, and Ireland. On a budget of $447 million, it is the fourth most expensive film ever made. The Force Awakens premiered in Hollywood, Los Angeles, on December 14, 2015, and was released in the United States on December 18, making it the first live-action Star Wars film to be distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures. A critical and commercial success, the film grossed $2.07 billion worldwide, breaking various box office records and becoming the highest-grossing film in the United States and Canada, the highest-grossing film of 2015, and the third highest-grossing film at the time of its release. It was nominated for 5 awards at the 88th Academy Awards and received numerous other accolades. The film was followed by The Last Jedi, 2017, and The Rise of Skywalker, 2019, rounding out the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Plot: 30 years after the Battle of Endor, the First Order has risen from the fallen Galactic Empire and seeks to end the New Republic. The Resistance led by General Leia Organa opposes the First Order. Leia also searches for her lost twin brother Luke Skywalker. On the desert planet Jakku, Resistance pilot Poe Dameron receives a map to Luke's location. First Order stormtroopers commanded by Kylo Ren arrive and capture Poe. His droid, BB-8, escapes with the map and encounters Rey, a lone scavenger. Kylo tortures Poe using the Force and learns of BB-8. Stormtrooper FN-2187, disillusioned with the First Order, saves Poe, and they escape in a stolen TIE fighter. Upon learning that FN-2187 has no other name, Poe names him Finn. As they head to Jakku to retrieve BB-8, a First Order Star Destroyer shoots them, and they crash land. Finn survives and assumes Poe was killed after finding his jacket in the wreck. Finn encounters Rey and BB-8, but the First Order tracks them and launches an airstrike. Rey, Finn, and BB-8 steal the Millennium Falcon and escape Jakku. The Falcon is discovered and boarded by Han Solo and Chewbacca. Gang seeking to settle debts with Han attack, but the group escapes in the Falcon. At the First Order's Starkiller base, a planet converted into a superweapon, Supreme Leader Snoke approves General Hux's request to use the weapon on the New Republic. Snoke questions Kylo's ability to deal with emotions surrounding his father, Han Solo, whom Kylo states means nothing to him. Aboard the Falcon, Han determines that BB-8's map is incomplete. He then explains that Luke attempted to rebuild the Jedi Order but exiled himself when an apprentice turned to the dark side of the Force, destroyed Luke's temple and slaughtered the other apprentices. The crew travels to the planet Takodana and meets with Cantina owner Maz Kanata, who offers help getting BB-8 to the Resistance. The Force draws Rey to a secluded vault, where she finds Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber. She experiences disturbing visions, including a childhood memory of a ship leaving her on Jakku. Rey denies the lightsaber at Maz's offering and flees into the woods. Maz gives Finn the lightsaber for safekeeping. Starkiller Base destroys the Hosnian star system, including the New Republic capital Hosnian Prime, leaving the Resistance without support. The First Order attacks Takodana in search of BB-8. Han, Chewbacca, and Finn are saved by Resistance X-Wing fighters led by Poe, who survived the crash. Leia arrives at Takodana with C-3PO and reunites with Han. It is revealed that she is Kylo's mother. Meanwhile, Kylo captures Rey, realizing she had seen the map and takes her to Starkiller Base, but she resists his mind-reading attempts. Snoke orders Kylo to bring Rey to him. Discovering she can use the Force, Rey escapes using a Jedi mind trick on a stormtrooper guard. At the Resistance base, BB-8 finds R2-D2, who had been in low-power mode since Luke's disappearance. As Starkiller Base prepares to fire again, the Resistance plans to destroy it by attacking its thermal oscillator. Using the Falcon, Han, Chewbacca, and Finn infiltrate the facility, find Rey and plant explosives. Han confronts Kylo, calling him by his birth name, Ben Solo, and implores him to abandon the dark side. Kylo seems to consider this, but he ultimately kills Han. An angry and devastated Chewbacca shoots Kylo, injuring him, and sets off the explosives, allowing Poe to attack and destroy the base's thermal oscillator. Kylo pursues Rey and Finn into the woods and incapacitates Rey. Finn uses the lightsaber to duel Kylo but is quickly defeated. Rey awakens, takes the lightsaber, and defeats Kylo in a duel, leaving him with a scar on his face. Snoke orders Hux to leave the base and bring Kylo to him to complete his training. Chewbacca saves Rey and the injured Finn and they escape aboard the Falcon. As the Resistance forces flee, Starkiller Base implodes and erupts into a star. R2-D2 awakens and reveals the rest of the map, which points to the oceanic planet Ashtu. Rey, Chewbacca, and R2-D2 travel to Ashtu on the Falcon. Rey finds Luke atop a cliff on a remote island and presents him with his lightsaber. Cast. See also, List of Star Wars characters and List of Star Wars cast members. The cast of Star Wars, The Force Awakens at the 2015 San Diego Comic-Con. Daisy Ridley as Rey, a Force-sensitive scavenger 4. Kaylee Fleming as young Rey 5. Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, a leader of the Knights of Ren and a warlord of the First Order, who is the son of Han and Leia 6789. John Boyega as Finn, a reformed First Order stormtrooper 4. Harrison Ford as Han Solo, a smuggler and captain of the Millennium Falcon 1011. Carrie Fisher as General Leia Organa, a leader of the Resistance 1213. Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron, a high-ranking X-Wing fighter pilot of the Resistance 414. Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca, Han's loyal Wookiee friend and co-pilot 1516. Junisu Otomo and Ian White served as body doubles for Mayhew as he suffered from health problems 1718. Doming Al Gleason as General Hux, the commander of the First Order's Starkiller Base 4. Lupita Nyong'o as Maz Kanata, a centuries-old and perceptive alien who owns a castle on the peaceful forest planet Takodana 1920. Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, a humanoid protocol droid 21. Max von Sydow as Lor San Tekka, a galactic explorer searching for Luke Skywalker 2223. Andy Serkis as Supreme Leader Snoke, an enigmatic, genetically artificial leader of the First Order 424. Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, the Last Jedi, who has gone into hiding 2526. Tim Rose and Mike Quinn reprise their respective roles as Admiral Akbar and Nien Nunb from Return of the Jedi, with Eric Boersfeld and Kip Sangrodic returning their respective voices. 5. Kenny Baker, originally announced as part of the cast, was credited as consultant for R2-D2 27.5, with Jimmy V performing some of the work for R2-D2. 28. Ewan McGregor has an uncredited vocal cameo as Obi-Wan Kenobi in Rey's vision sequence, while archival audio of Frank Oz and Alec Guinness as Yoda and Kenobi, respectively, are also used in the same scene. Oz recorded new dialogue for the film, but it was replaced with pre-existing audio from The Empire Strikes Back. 29. Star Wars, the Clone Wars voice actor James Arnold Taylor, who has voiced Obi-Wan Kenobi in different Star Wars media, originally recorded Kenobi's dialogue, but his recordings were replaced with McGregor's. 30. Gwendolyn Christie portrays Captain Phasma, the commander of the First Order's legions of stormtroopers. 31-32 Dave Chapman and Brian Herring served as puppeteers for BB-833, with Bill Hader and Ben Schwartz credited as vocal consultants. 34 Ken Leung appears as Statura, an admiral in the Resistance. 35 Simon Pegg appears as Unkar Plutt, the junk parts dealer on Jakku. 36-37 Greg Grunberg plays Temmin Snap Wexley, an X-Wing pilot. 38-39 Kieran Shaw plays Tito, a scavenger on Jakku who rides a semi-mechanical lugabiist. 540 Jessica Hennick appears as Jess Tester Pava or Jess Tester, an X-Wing pilot. 41-42-43 Brian Vernal appears as Balatik, the leader of the Guavian Death Gang. 44 Yayan Ruyan and Iko Uwais appear as Tajulich and Rezo Ochinfi, members of the Kanji Club Gang, a criminal organization. 5 Warwick Davis appears as Wal Ivan, a tavern dweller in Maz Kanata's castle. 45-46 Anna Brewster appears as Bazine Nettle, a First Order spy, also at Maz Kanata's castle. 5 Hannah John Kamen appears as a First Order officer. 5 Thomas Brody Sangster and Kate Fleetwood play First Order petty officers, Thanissen and Unamo, respectively. 47-48 Billy Lord, daughter of Carrie Fisher, appears as Kanix, a lieutenant in the Resistance. 49-50 members of the Resistance include Emun Elliott as Brance 51 and Maisie Richardson Sellers as Corsella 52, while Harriet Walter appears as Kolonia, the doctor who tends to Chewbacca. 53-54 Mark Stanley appears as a Knight of Ren. 54 Sebastian Armisteau portrays Lieutenant Mitaka and Pip Torrens portrays Colonel Kaplan, both serving the First Order. 5. Daniel Craig, Michael Giacchino, and Nigel Godrich cameo as stormtroopers. 55-56 Abrams' assistant, Morgan Dameron, appears as a Resistance officer 57, while his father, Gerald W. Abrams, appears as Captain Cyprus. 58 Dialect coach Andrew Jack portrays Resistance Major Caluan Emmet. 59 Additionally, Crystal Clark, Pip Anderson 60, Christina Chong 61, Miltos Eurolemas 62, Amabeth Hargreaves 63, Leanne Best 64, Judah Friedlander 65 and Kevin Smith appear in minor roles. 66 Riot Control Stormtrooper FN 2199, who calls Finn a traitor during the battle on Takodana, was portrayed by stunt performer Liang Yang and voiced by sound editor David Acord. 67. Production. Development. Star Wars creator George Lucas discussed ideas for a sequel trilogy several times after the conclusion of the original trilogy, but denied any intent to make it. 68 A seventh entry in the Skywalker saga, a 9-part Star Wars series. 69-70 began development shortly after Lucas sold his production company Lucasfilm to the Walt Disney Company in October 2012. 71-72-73 Speaking alongside Lucasfilm's new president, Kathleen Kennedy, Lucas said, "I always said I wasn't going to do any more, and that's true, because I'm not going to do any more, but that doesn't mean I'm unwilling to turn it over to Kathy to do more." 74. As creative consultant on the film, Lucas attended early story meetings and advised on the details of the Star Wars universe. 75 Among the materials he turned over to the production team were his rough story treatments for Episodes 7, 9, which Lucas requested be read only by Kennedy, Bob Iger, Alan F. Horn, and Kevin A. Meyer. 75 Lucas later said Disney had discarded his story ideas and that he had no further involvement with the film. 76 77 78 Lucas' son Jet told The Guardian that his father was very torn about having sold the rights to the franchise and was there to guide, but that he wants to let it go and become its new generation. 79. From left to right, producer Kathleen Kennedy, writer and director J.J. Abrams, and writer Lawrence Kasdan speaking at the 2015 San Diego Comic-Con. The Force Awakens' first screenplay was written by Michael Arndt. 80 At the time of his hiring, Arndt was also asked to write story treatments for the following installments. 81 Arndt took part in a writer's room with Simon Kinberg, Lawrence Kasdan, Pablo Hidalgo, and Kiri Hart to discuss and plan the overall trilogy. 82 Early drafts had Luke Skywalker appear midway through the film, but Arndt found that every time Luke came in and entered the movie, he just took it over. Suddenly you didn't care about your main character anymore. 83. The writers decided to use Luke as a plot device who would not appear in person until the final scene. 83 Arndt also developed some backstory elements for the returning characters from the original trilogy, such as how Leia was instrumental in rebuilding the Republic after the fall of the Empire before being discredited when it was publicly revealed that her biological father was Darth Vader. This would go on to become a central plot point in the canonical novel Star Wars: Bloodline. 84. Several directors were considered, including David Fincher 85, Brad Bird 86, Jon Favreau 87, and Guillermo del Toro. 88 Bird was reportedly the top choice to helm the film, but his commitments to Tomorrowland forced him to withdraw. 89 Matthew Vaughn was an early candidate for the job, even dropping out of X-Men: Days of Future Past in favor for the film. 90 Colin Trevorrow was also under consideration by the studio, while Ben Affleck and Neil Blomkamp passed on the project. After a suggestion by Steven Spielberg to Kennedy. 95 J.J. Abrams was named director in January 2013. 96 with Lawrence Kasdan and Simon Kinberg as project consultants. 97 Kasdan worked to convince Abrams to direct the film after the filmmaker initially rejected the offer. 98-99 Arndt worked on the script for 8 months, but said he needed 18 more, which was more time than Disney or Abrams could give him. 100 The production announced Arndt's exit from the project on October 24, 2013. That same day, Kasdan and Abrams took over script duties. 101 Both of whom planned the story while walking in Santa Monica, California, New York City, Paris, and London. The first draft was completed in 6 weeks. 102 Abrams said the key to the film was that it returned to the roots of the first Star Wars films and be based more on emotion than explanation. 103 In January 2014, Abrams confirmed that the script was complete. 104 In April 2014, Lucasfilm clarified that Episode 7-9 would not feature storylines from the Star Wars expanded universe, though other elements could be included, as with the TV series Star Wars Rebels. 105. Abrams stated that he purposely withheld some plot elements from The Force Awakens, such as Rey and Finn's last names and backgrounds. Kennedy admitted that "We haven't mapped out every single detail of the sequel trilogy yet," but said that Abrams was collaborating with The Last Jedi director Rian Johnson, and that Johnson would work with The Rise of Skywalker's then-director Colin Trevorrow to ensure a smooth transition and that everybody's got a say in how we move forward with this. 106 Daisy Ridley later recounted that J.J. Abrams had written drafts for Episodes 8 and 9. 107. A fictional language was developed for use in the film by YouTube star Sarah Forsberg, who created the viral video series What Languages Sound Like to Foreigners. Forsberg developed the language by studying various languages, such as Hindi and Gujarati. 108. In November 2015, Lucas recorded an hour-long interview with CBS News reporter Charlie Rose in which he said Disney had not been keen to involve him and conceded, "If I get in there, I'm just going to cause trouble because they're not going to do what I want them to do, and I don't have the control to do that anymore, and all it would do is just muck everything up. 109. He also said, they wanted to do a retro movie. I don't like that. Every movie, I worked very hard to make them different. I made them completely different planets, different spaceships to make it new. 110. 111. In early December 2015, Kennedy told The Hollywood Reporter that Lucas had seen the film and enjoyed it. 112. In the same month, at the Kennedy Center Honors, Lucas stated, I think the fans are going to love it, it's very much the kind of movie they've been looking for. 113. Abrams felt that, as the first in a new trilogy, the film needed to take a couple of steps backwards into very familiar terrain and use plot elements from previous Star Wars films. 114. Pre-production. In May 2013, it was confirmed that The Force Awakens would be filmed in the United Kingdom. Representatives from Lucasfilm met with Chancellor of the Exchequer George Osborne to agree to produce The Force Awakens in the UK. 115. Osborne committed £25 million of public money towards the film, claiming it was a boost for British culture and its film industry. 116. According to production company account filings in the United Kingdom, The Force Awakens ultimately received a total of £31.6 million, $47.4 million, from the government. 117. 118. Beginning in September 2013, production spaces at the Bad Robot facility were converted for shooting of The Force Awakens for the benefit of shooting a minor portion of the film in the United States. 119. The film's costume designer was Michael Kaplan, who had previously worked with Abrams on the films Star Trek, 2009, and Star Trek Into Darkness, 2013. 120. Film editors Mary Jo Markey and Marianne Brandon, long-term collaborators with Abrams, were also signed. 121. In August 2013, it was announced that cinematographer Daniel Mindel would be shooting the film on 35mm film, specifically Kodak 5219. 122. In October 2013, other crew members were confirmed, including sound designer Ben Bird, director of photography Mindel, production designers Rick Carter and Darren Guilford, costume designer Michael Kaplan, special effects supervisor Chris Corbold, re-recording mixer Gary Ridstrom, supervising sound editor Matthew Wood, visual effects supervisor Roger Guyot, and executive producer Jason McGatlin. 123. Casting. Open auditions were held in the United Kingdom and the United States in November 2013 for the roles of Rachel and Thomas. 124. Casting began in earnest in January 2014, because of changes to the script by Kasdan and Abrams. 125. Screen tests with actors continued until at least 3 weeks before the official announcement in April 2014, with final casting decisions made only a few weeks earlier. Actors testing had strict non-disclosure agreements, preventing them, their agents or their publicists from commenting on their involvement. 126. Though Lucas intimated that previous cast members Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, and Mark Hamill would return for the new film as early as March 2013, 75, their casting was not confirmed until over a year later. 27. Fisher returned as she was impressed with the pitch of the new trilogy. 127. Abrams set out to have a more diverse cast than previous installments. 128. A very early report claimed the studio wanted Ryan Gosling, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Zac Efron for roles. 129. 130. In September 2013, Michael B. Jordan, Saoirse Ronan, and David Oyelowo were among the first to meet with the director. 131. In January 2014, The Hollywood Reporter revealed Benedict Cumberbatch, Jack O'Connell, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Alex Pettyfer, Jesse Plemons, Sullivan Stapleton, Ty Sheridan, Hugo Weaving, Michael Fassbender, and Adam Driver all met with Abrams for the film. The role Sheridan met for was ultimately rewritten to be played by a 40-year-old actor, while Weaving was in talks for an Imperial commander. 132 Ronan, Jordan, Frida Gustafsson, and later Miles Teller would go on to confirm their auditions for the film. Industry publications speculated that Plemons could possibly be playing Luke Skywalker's son. 137 In February, Driver was in final negotiations for an unnamed villain, while Gary Oldman revealed he was approached for an undisclosed role. 139 Driver was initially hesitant to take on the role of Kylo Ren as he was leery on big movies and felt characters get sacrificed to speculate, but the character's complicated nature led him to take it. 140 In March, John Boyega, Plemons, Ray Fisher, Matthew James Thomas and Ed Speleers were Abrams' top choice for the lead role. 128 Boyega began talks after dropping out of the Jesse Owens biopic race. 126 That same month, Lupita Nyong'o was said to have met with Abrams for the female lead. 141 In April 2014, Plemons and Thomas were no longer in contention for the film. 142 That same month, Maisie Richardson Sellers, an unknown Oxford actress, and Dev Patel were up for unknown roles. 144 Ronan, Richardson Sellers, Courtney Eaton, Isa Gonzalez, Elizabeth Olsen, and Jessica Hennick auditioned for Ray. D. Joseph David Jones, Tom Holland, and Daryl McCormack were later reported to have auditioned for Finn, while McCormack made it to the final round of auditions for the part. 150 151 152 Eddie Redmayne and Joel Kinnaman tested for Kylo Ren. 153 154 Daisy Ridley was cast by February 2014, and by the end of that month a deal had been worked out with Driver, who was able to work around his girl's schedule. Talks with Andy Serkis and Oscar Isaac began by March and continued into April. 126 Dennis Lawson, who played Wedge Antilles in the original trilogy, declined to reprise his role, saying it would have bored him. 155 In April, Ridley, Boyega, Isaac, Driver, Serkis, Domhnall Gleeson, and Max von Sydow were announced as part of the cast, while Ford, Hamill, Fisher, Anthony Daniels, Peter Mayhew, and Baker reprised their roles from the original trilogy. 27 Boyega said that he got the role of Finn after Tom Cruise introduced him to Abrams. 156 In June, cast additions Lupita Nyong'o and Gwendolyn Christie were announced. 31 To prepare for his role, Hamill was assigned a personal trainer and a nutritionist at the request of the producers, who wanted him to resemble an older Luke. 157 Fisher was also assigned a personal trainer and a nutritionist, but she refused to lose weight. 158 Abrams initially considered using Daniels only in a voice role for C-3PO 159, but Daniels opted to reprise the role physically as well. The production team built a new C-3PO costume to accommodate him. 160 A flashback scene was cut from Rey's vision, following her discovery of Luke's lightsaber, which would have featured Robert Bolter standing in for Luke as he appeared in his duel with Vader in The Empire Strikes Back. 161 In May, Abrams announced a donation contest for UNICEF from the Star Wars set in Abu Dhabi. The winner was allowed to visit the set, meet members of the cast and appear in the film. 162 In October, Warwick Davis, who played Wicket in Return of the Jedi, as well as Wald and Weasel in The Phantom Menace, 1999, announced that he would appear in The Force Awakens, but did not reveal his role. 163 In November, Debbie Reynolds confirmed that her granddaughter, Fisher's daughter, Billie Lourd, was in the film. 49 Lourd first auditioned for the role of Rey prior to her casting. 164 Filming. The Rub Al Khali Desert in the United Arab Emirates was used as the filming location for the planet Jakku. In February 2014, Abrams said filming would begin in May and last about 3 months. 103 The official announcement came in March, when Disney and Lucasfilm announced that principal photography would commence in May and be based at Pinewood Studios in Buckinghamshire, England. 165 That month, it was revealed that pre-production filming would take place in Iceland prior to the start of official filming in May, consisting of landscape shots that would be used for scenery in the film. 166 In April, Walt Disney Studios chairman Alan Horn confirmed that filming had begun. 167 Filming in secret in the United Arab Emirates around Liwa Oasis, part of the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, by a second unit. 168 Later that month, it was revealed that in addition to 35mm film, segments of the film were being shot in the 65mm IMAX format. 169 In July, Bad Robot reported that the film would be at least partially shot on IMAX cameras. 174 Scenes shot on 35mm film. The production had Panavision construct new anamorphic format lenses which were intended to replicate the look of the lenses used on the original Star Wars trilogy, but without their associated technical shortcomings. 171 Meanwhile, sequences filmed in the IMAX format used the same lenses which had developed for Wally Pfister for the film The Dark Knight. 171. Principal photography began in Abu Dhabi on May 16, 2014. 172 The budget was initially estimated to be between $259 million and $306 million. 173 But in 2023 financial accounts revealed the gross spend was $533 million and the net cost after tax breaks was $447 million. 174 Abrams and the cast members went to Abu Dhabi in early May, where large sets were built on location including a shuttle-like spacecraft, a large tower, and a big market, and where explosives were used to create a blast crater. Cast members were spotted practicing driving vehicles that would be used during filming. 175 Production moved to Pinewood Studios in June. 176 View over Skellig Michael showing stone beehive structures and small Skellig Island in the distance. Concrete missile silo covered in grass. Skellig Michael in Ireland, top, and former RAF Greenham Common in England served as filming locations. That same month, Harrison Ford fractured his leg while filming at Pinewood after a hydraulic door on the Millennium Falcon set fell on him, and was taken to a hospital. According to Abrams, Ford's ankle went to a 90-degree angle. 100 Production was suspended for 2 weeks because of Ford's injury. 177 Ford's son Ben said the ankle would likely need a plate and screws and that filming could be altered slightly, with the crew needing to shoot Ford from the waist up for a short time until he recovered. 178 A month later, Jake Steinfeld, Ford's personal trainer, said Ford was recovering rapidly. 179 Abrams also suffered a fractured vertebra in his back when he was trying to help lift the door after Ford's accident. 100 But he kept this to himself for over a month. 180 In February 2016, it was reported that the health and safety executive brought 4 criminal charges against Disney subsidiary Foodles Production, UK, Limited for alleged health and safety breaches relating to Ford's accident. 181 Foodles Production, UK, Ltd was subsequently fined $1.95 million in October 2016 for 2 health and safety breaches, after admitting the counts at an earlier hearing. 182. On July 28, 2014, filming took place over 3 days at Skellig Michael, an island off the coast of County Kerry, Ireland, with a cast including Mark Hamill and Daisy Ridley. 183 landscape shots for the planet Takodana were shot in July in the Lake District in the northwest of England. 184 Production was halted for 2 weeks in early August 2014 so Abrams could rework shooting in Ford's absence and resumed with a fully healed Ford in mid-August. 185 186 In September, the former RAF Greenham Common military base in Berkshire was used and featured set constructions of several spaceships. 187-188 Puzzlewood in the Forest of Dean, Gloucestershire, England was used for some scenes. 189 Principal photography ended on November 3, 2014. 190 Post-production. Bad Robot headquarters in Santa Monica, where Abrams supervised post-production of the film. Kennedy said The Force Awakens would use real locations and models over computer-generated imagery. 191 Johnson reiterated that Abrams would use little CGI and more practical, traditional special effects, saying, "I think people are coming back around to practical effects. It feels like there is sort of that gravity pulling us back toward it. I think that more and more people are hitting kind of a critical mass in terms of the CG-driven action scene lending itself to a very specific type of action scene, where physics go out the window and it becomes so big so quick." 192 Abrams' intention in prioritizing practical special effects was to recreate the visual realism and authenticity of the original Star Wars. 193 To that end, the droid BB-8 was a physical prop developed by Disney Research. 194 Created by special effects artist Neil Scanlon and operated live on set with the actors. 195 196 The hollow chess sequence was created using stop motion, which was supervised by Tippett Studio and overseen by Phil Tippett, who also worked on the stop motion sequence in the original Star Wars film. 197 198 In February 2014, Industrial Light and Magic, ILM, announced plans to open a facility in London, citing Disney's Star Wars films as a catalyst for the expansion. ILM's Vancouver branch also worked on the special effects for the film. 199 Abrams supervised post-production and editing of the film at Bad Robot's headquarters in Santa Monica. 100 In August 2015, he gave the film's estimated running time of 124 minutes. 200 Abrams made changes to the film's plot in the editing process to simplify the film, by removing some sequences shown in trailers. At one point, Maz used to continue along with the characters back to the Resistance base, but we realized that she really had nothing to do there of value, so we ended up leaving those things out. 201 The final cut of the film runs for 138 minutes. 202 On November 6, 2014, the film's title was announced as Star Wars: The Force Awakens. 203 In December 2015, Pablo Hidalgo, the creative executive at the Lucasfilm Story Group, which handles all the canonical continuity for the Star Wars universe, revealed that the working title for the film was Shadow of the Empire for the longest time. 204 Music. Main article, Star Wars: The Force Awakens, soundtrack. In July 2013, John Williams was confirmed to return to compose the sequel trilogy, beginning with The Force Awakens. 205 He began working on the film in December 2014, and by June 2015 had been through most of the film reels, working on a daily basis. 206 207 In May 2015, Williams said he would return to themes from the previous films, such as those for Luke, Leia, and Han, in ways that there are a few that I think are important and will seem very much a part of the fabric of the piece in a positive and constructive way. He said that working with Abrams was similar to the process he went through with Lucas in the earlier films. 208 Recording sessions for The Force Awakens began in June 2015 at the Sony Pictures Studios' Barbra Streisand scoring stage in Culver City, with William Ross conducting most of the music. 209 The first day of recording was June 1, 2015. 210 Williams attended the sessions and conducted the remainder of the recordings in Los Angeles. 211 The score was recorded in 12 sessions within a 5-month period between June and mid-November. The 90-piece orchestra recorded 175 minutes of music. However, Abrams re-edited the film, which discarded, modified, or re-recorded the score's part for nearly an hour. Williams' theme for Snoke was recorded by a 24-voice men's chorus. 212 Gustavo Dudamel conducted the opening and end title music for the film at Williams' behest. 213 recording of the score was completed on November 14, 2015. 214 The film's soundtrack was released by Walt Disney Records on December 18, 2015. 215 Williams' score is more than 2 hours long. 207 Lin-Manuel Miranda and Abrams contributed music to the film's cantina scene. Abrams met Miranda at a performance of his Broadway musical Hamilton, where Miranda jokingly offered to compose cantina music, should it be needed. Unknown to Miranda, Williams had previously told Abrams that he did not want to compose the music for that scene, wanting to focus on the orchestral score. Abrams then contacted Miranda, and the two collaborated on the music for the scene over a period of 2 months. 216 Marketing. Promotion. Disney backed The Force Awakens with extensive marketing campaigns. 218 Deadline Hollywood estimated the media value was $175,219,000. Its costs alongside home media revenues had later risen to $423 million by The Guardian. 220 On November 28, 2014, Lucasfilm released an 88-second teaser trailer. It was screened in selected cinemas across the United States and Canada and in theaters worldwide in December 2014. It was also released on YouTube and the iTunes Store. 221 generating 58.2 million views on YouTube in its first week. 222 critics compared the brief footage favorably to the production values of the original trilogy. The Hollywood Reporter called the trailer perfectly potent nostalgia, praising its mix of old and new. 223 Empire was impressed by the continuity with the first films, the feel of classic Star Wars, but noted the absence of Hamill, Ford, and Fisher and speculated about the significance of the new characters. 224 The Guardian wrote that the use of the Star Wars fanfare by John Williams reinforced brand loyalty among fans. 225 Large-scale outdoor advertising for Star Wars, The Force Awakens in the city center of Nuremberg, Germany. On December 11, 2014, Abrams and Kennedy released a series of 8 mock-tops trading cards revealing the names of several characters. 226 On April 16, 2015, a second teaser trailer, this one lasting 2 minutes, was shown at the opening panel at the Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, California. Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy said the reaction to the trailer was staggering. The entire room of almost 8,000 people just leapt to their feet and roared, "I mean, I can't think of anything I've ever been to other than a rock concert that felt quite like that." 227 The trailer was viewed over 88 million times within the first 24 hours of release. 228 The trailer shows many of the new characters and the first footage of Chewbacca and Han Solo. The Huffington Post's Graham Milne wrote that the trailer was an affirmation of something that we'd long been told was never going to happen. This was a gift. This was faith rewarded. About damn time. 229 Vanity Fair was the first magazine to release an exclusive cover issue devoted to The Force Awakens. The magazine, released on May 7, 2015, featured exclusive interviews and photos of the cast photographed by Annie Leibovitz. 230 At the 2015 San Diego Comic-Con, in addition to a panel with many of the actors, a behind-the-scenes look at the film demonstrated the film's use of practical sets and effects. It was positively received, with Nigel M. Smith of The Guardian writing, "The featurette's angle is a strong one and connects with fans of the original trilogy in an incredibly poignant way. It also does a sly job of teasing Fisher's new look as Leia and Simon Pegg's mysterious involvement as a rumored alien in the movie, without actually showing the actors in action." Smith compared the marketing strategy for the film to that of a previous Abrams film, Super 8, saying the promos are notable for what they tease, not what they give away. 231 Walt Disney Studios and Lucasfilm presented a look at The Force Awakens at Disney's D23 Expo in August 2015. 232 Drew Struzan, who designed the poster artwork for the previous Star Wars films, produced a commemorative poster given to the event's attendees. 233 In October 2015, Lucasfilm unveiled the theatrical release poster and a third trailer. The poster omitted Luke Skywalker and revealed a Death Star-like orb. 234 The trailer debuted during the halftime break of Monday Night Football, before being released online. 235 The reaction to the trailer by fans on social media was frenzied, with Litzom Zimba of the BBC writing that perhaps the most significant thing about the final trailer before the film's release is how little of the story it reveals. 236 Robbie Collin of the Daily Telegraph felt the trailer was a perfect blend of old and new, in keeping with the old-fashioned Star Wars aesthetic. 237 The trailer received 128 million views in 24 hours. 16 million of the views came from its airing on Monday Night Football. 238 At the end of October, Air France announced a flight and cinema package, providing customers who book select flights to Paris transportation to a theater to see the film, since France was one of the first countries to release the film. 239 On November 23, a partnership with Google was announced, in which Google users could choose to affiliate themselves with either the dark or light side, which would change the appearance of their Google websites. Additionally, Disney teamed up with Verizon to create a virtual reality experience for Google Cardboard. 240 On December 17, 2015, select theaters across the United States and Canada showed a Star Wars marathon, playing the 6 previous Star Wars episode films in 2D, followed by The Force Awakens in 3D. 241 242 Tie-in literature and merchandise. Disney Publishing Worldwide and Lucasfilm announced a series of at least 20 books and comics, Journey to Star Wars, The Force Awakens, which were released by multiple publishers starting in late 2015, prior to the film's premiere. The series includes books by Del Rey and Disney Lucasfilm publishers and comic books from Marvel Comics. All titles under the program are canonical to the Star Wars universe. 243 Alan Dean Foster wrote a novelization of The Force Awakens which was released in ebook form on December 18. 244 In an effort to avoid revealing plot details before the film's release, the print release of the novelization was delayed until January 2016. 244 Marvel Comics published a 6-issue comic book adaptation of The Force Awakens between June and November 2016. 245 Disney Consumer Products and Lucasfilm announced that September 4, 2015, would be deemed Force Friday and would be the official launch of all the merchandise for The Force Awakens. Beginning at 12:01 a.m., fans could buy toys, books, clothing, and various other products at Disney stores and other retailers throughout the world. 246 Disney and Maker Studios hosted an 18-hour live streaming presentation on YouTube, showcasing multiple merchandise products beginning on September 3, 2015. 247 248 Among these products were a remote-controlled BB-8 developed by Sphero. 194 Sphero had participated in a Disney-run startup accelerator in July 2014, where they were invited into a private meeting with Disney CEO Bob Iger, in which they were shown on-set photos and imagery of BB-8 before its public unveiling. 249 250 Many retailers, such as Toys R Us, were unable to meet demand for Star Wars products due to the event. 251 Video games. Select characters, scenes, and locations from the film became part of other Star Wars video games. Characters from the film were added to an update to the mobile game Star Wars: Galaxy of Heroes, available for iOS and Android and released by Electronic Arts. 252 Free downloadable content for Electronic Arts. Star Wars Battlefront Reboot allowed players to battle on the planet Jakku. 253 An update to the mobile game Star Wars Commander, released by Disney Mobile for iOS, Android, and the Windows Store, allowed players to battle on the planet Takodana during the Galactic Civil War era 254, and a condensed version of the film's plot becomes an add-on playset in the Toys to Life game Disney Infinity 3.0, with Finn, Rey, Poe Dameron, and Kylo Ren as playable characters. 255 Eventually, the film got a full LEGO video game adaptation, titled LEGO Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which was released by Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment on June 28, 2016. 256. Release. Theatrical. The premiere tent, with the film's poster above. Star Wars: The Force Awakens premiered on December 14, 2015, at the TCL Chinese Theater, El Capitan Theater, and Dolby Theater in Hollywood, Los Angeles. 257. A white tent stretched along Hollywood Boulevard from Orange Drive to Highland Avenue, covering the massive premiere event that hosted more than 5,000 guests. 258. The film was originally scheduled for a mid-2015 release, but in November 2013, it was pushed back to December 18, 2015. 259. It was also released in 3D, RealD 3D, IMAX 3D, and 4DX formats. 260. In the United States and Canada, it had the widest release of December across 4,134 theaters, 261 of which 3,300 were 3D locations, a record 392 IMAX screens, 13 of which were 70mm, 451 premium large format screens, 146 D-Box locations, 263 as well as releasing in the Dolby Vision format, High Dynamic Range, Rec 2020 Color, in Dolby Cinema. 264 worldwide, it was released across 940 IMAX theaters, a new record. 263. On December 18, 2015, the film began playing on every IMAX screen in the United States and Canada for 4 straight weeks up to January 14, 2016. This made it the first film since Warner Bros. The Hobbit trilogy to receive such a release. 265. The film finally shed some of its IMAX screens with the release of The Revenant, 2015, and The Finest Hours, 2016, in mid-January 2016. 266. Advance ticket sales for the film began on October 19, 2015, 267, and were in strong demand, resulting in online movie ticket sites crashing. 268. 269. Vue Cinemas, the United Kingdom's third largest theater chain, sold 45,000 tickets in 24 hours, 10,000 of which were sold in 90 minutes, a record for the theater. 270. In the United States, the film pre-sold a record-breaking $6.5 million worth of IMAX ticket sales on a single day. IMAX has never previously registered more than $1 million in pre-sales on a single day. 271. In total, it sold over $50 million in pre-sales, breaking the record. 272. 273. This number was raised to $100 million, including $50 to $60 million in advance ticket sales by December 14. 273. 274. However, not all tickets that were pre-sold were for the film's opening weekend, with Fandango president Paul Yanover saying people have set aside tickets for screenings in January, weeks after the big opening. We have people buying Star Wars: The Force Awakens into 2016. It's not just an opening weekend phenomenon. 272. Similarly, the film broke pre-sales records in the UK 275, Canada 276 and Germany 277. The Force Awakens is the first live-action Star Wars film not to be released theatrically by 20th Century Fox. Accordingly, the film is not introduced with either that company's logo, or its signature fanfare composed by Alfred Newman. 278. Instead, The film is the first in the series to be distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures 3, and the film is presented with only Lucasfilm's production logo shown silently before the main titles. 279 Disney chairman Bob Iger explained that the decision not to place Disney branding on the film was for the fans. 280. A poster from mainland China was criticized for being racist due to shrinking the size of the black character Finn compared to non-Chinese posters. 281 282 283. Home media. Walt Disney Studios Home Entertainment released Star Wars: The Force Awakens through digital download and Disney Movies Anywhere on April 1, 2016, and on Blu-ray and DVD on April 5. Physical copies include behind-the-scenes featurettes, deleted scenes, interviews 284 and additional footage with 8 bonus features. 285 In its first week, The Force Awakens sold 669,318 DVDs and 3.4 million Blu-rays as the most sold film on both formats in the United States. 286 That same week, The Force Awakens topped the Nielsen Video Scan First Alert chart, which tracks overall disc sales, as well as the dedicated Blu-ray sales chart, with 83% of unit sales coming from Blu-ray. 287 Overall, The Force Awakens sold 2.1 million DVDs and 5.9 million Blu-rays, adding them up to get a total of 8 million copies, and made $191 million through home media releases. 286. A Blu-ray 3D collector's edition of the film was released on November 15, including all the features of the original home releases, as well as several new bonus features, including new deleted scenes and audio commentary by director J.J. Abrams. 288 The package includes a Blu-ray 3D, regular Blu-ray, DVD, and digital copy of the film, as well as an additional Blu-ray disc for the bonus features. 288. The movie was re-released on DVD in 2019 as part of the 9-disc Skywalker Saga box set. It received a 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray release on March 31, 2020. This 4K release was then included in the 27-disc Skywalker Saga box set on April 20, 2020. 289. Broadcast syndication. The premium cable network Starz had U.S. broadcast syndication rights for The Force Awakens in January 2016. 290 Just before the end of Starz's output deal covering most Disney films through 2015. 291 That September, The Force Awakens began broadcasting on all Starz networks. 292. Reception. Box office. Main article, list of box office records set by Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Star Wars: The Force Awakens grossed $936.7 million in the United States and Canada and $1.132 billion in other countries for a worldwide total of $2.07 billion, making it the highest grossing film of 2015 $293 and the third highest grossing film of all time. 294 Box Office Mojo estimates that the film sold close to 110 million tickets in the United States and Canada. 295 The Force Awakens earned 8.6% of the total 2015 releases in the United States and Canada, second only to the 8.8% of the box office earned by Titanic in 1997. 296 It was the 24th film in cinematic history to gross $1 billion worldwide, standing as the fastest film to surpass the mark at the time, doing so in 12 days. 297 It was also the third film in history to surpass $2 billion worldwide, doing so on its 53rd day of release. 298 Deadline Hollywood calculated the film's net profit as $780.1 million, accounting for production budgets, e-marketing, talent participations, and other costs. Box office grosses and home media revenues placed it first on their list of 2015's most valuable blockbusters. 173. Commercial analysis. Analysts said that the box office receipts of the film, when compared to predecessors, must be adjusted for inflation, and that the first Star Wars film made more when this adjustment is made. 299. It has further been observed that each of the first 3 films in the series was more profitable in calculating revenue against production costs. 299. While The Force Awakens was very successful in the United States and Canada, the same success was not witnessed in many overseas individual markets such as India, other certain parts of Asia and Latin America. This was attributed to it being a retro film and how overseas audiences do not have the same nostalgia or affinity for the film as those in North America. 300, 301, 302. The Star Wars franchise has traditionally lacked resonance with filmgoers in China, and marketing for The Force Awakens heavily focused on appealing to that market. 301, 303. Nancy Tartaglione of Deadline Hollywood argued that, if accounting for its 40/60ths domestic to international split, The Force Awakens did well overseas. 302. While the film had special effects, analysts felt that it lacked the novelty factor. They also stated that its gross was stilted due to markets making way for new films sooner than was previously done. 301. Durgarabdian stated, "No matter what, The Force Awakens is an absolute, all-out blockbuster without peer in terms of the sheer speed at which it has crossed all of these major box office milestones." 300. Moreover, Mike Fleming Jr. of Deadline Hollywood argued that the movie was the most valuable movie of the year, with the net profit to Disney was an astounding $780.11 million, and the cash-on-cash return was twice that of any other film released in 2016, at 2.00. 304. United States and Canada. In the United States and Canada, The Force Awakens was released on December 18, 2015. It made a record-breaking $57 million from Thursday night previews, of which IMAX screenings generated a record-breaking $5.7 million from 391 screens. 308. On its opening day, the film grossed $119.1 million, marking the biggest single and opening day record. 309. And the first time a film has earned more than $100 million in a single day. 310. Without Thursday night grosses, the film earned the second largest opening day gross, 311, and a record of $247.9 million for its opening weekend. 286. The debut was 19% bigger than the previous record holders, The Avengers, 2012, $207 million, and Jurassic World, 2015, $208 million. 312. The opening weekend figure included an IMAX opening weekend record of $30.1 million, 12.65%, from 391 IMAX theaters. 314, which nearly amounts to the $252.5 million total earned by Return of the Jedi, the second lowest grossing film in the series in its original run. 315. 2D screenings accounted for 53% of the total opening gross, while 3D accounted for 47%. RealD 3D comprised $78 million of the opening gross, setting a new record. 313. At that time, the film had the biggest December opening weekend, breaking the previous record held by The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey, 2012. 316. It would hold this record for 6 years until it was surpassed by Spider-Man, No Way Home, 2021. 317. Revenues in the film's second weekend decreased by only 39.8% in the United States and Canada, earning $149.2 million, to remain in first place at the box office. 318. And recording the biggest second weekend of all time. 319. On January 2nd, after just 16 days of release, it became the second film, following Avatar, to gross over $700 million in the United States and Canada. 320. And on January 6th became the highest grossing film of all time domestically, doing so in 20 days. 321. On January 9th, it became the first film in cinematic history to cross $800 million domestically unadjusted for inflation. 322 On February 5, The Force Awakens became the first film to earn over $900 million, unadjusted for inflation, in the United States and Canada. 324 The film fell outside of the top 10 for the first time in its 11th weekend during the weekend February 26 to 28, 2016. 326 and did not achieve $1 million in ticket sales for the first time in its 14th weekend. 327 Other territories. Internationally, the film was released in over 30,000 screens. 328 It opened on December 16, 2015, in 12 international markets and earned $14.1 million on its opening day, debuting at first place in all of them. 329 It expanded in an additional 42 countries on December 17, generating $58.6 million for a two-day international total of $72.7 million, reaching first place in all 44 markets. 330 It grossed a total of $129.5 million in 3 days after adding $56.8 million on its third day. 330 and set a new midnight record in the United Kingdom with $3.6 million. 331 It broke opening day records in the United Kingdom, $14.4 million, Germany, $7.1 million, Australia, $6.8 million, 308 Sweden, $1.7 million, Norway, $1.1 million, 329 and in 12 other countries. 331 other markets which generated large opening days were Spain, $3.5 million, and Japan, $3 million. 330 After the 5 days, The Force Awakens had a total international opening gross of $281 million from 30,000 screens, a new record for December opening. 328 332 and the third biggest international opening of all time. 333 international markets generating opening weekend tallies of at least $10 million were the United Kingdom, $50.6 million, Germany, $27.5 million, France, $22.5 million, Australia, $19.6 million, Japan, $13.4 million, and Russia, $12.3 million. The film had the biggest opening of all time in 18 countries including the United Kingdom, Germany, Australia, Russia, and Sweden. 328 334. After 5 days, the film had a total worldwide opening record of $529 million from 74 territories, which was the biggest worldwide opening at that time, making it only the second time in cinematic history after Jurassic World that a film had opened to more than $500 million globally. 332 335 This included an IMAX opening record of $48 million. 335 Revenues from IMAX dipped slightly, generating $19 million in its second weekend, for a record total of over $70 million in 11 days. 336 IMAX generated $17.9 million from 276 IMAX theaters. 314 The film had a steeper decline in its second weekend, falling 51% to $136.9 million. 337 The film had an unsuccessful opening in India where it opened third against two local blockbusters with a mere $1.51 million. 338 As of February 2016, the highest grossing markets outside of the United States and Canada were the United Kingdom, $180.7 million, China, $124.5 million, Germany, $109.7 million, Japan, $92.6 million, and France, $88.2 million. 339 On January 17, 2016, it passed the $1 billion mark overseas, becoming the first film of Disney, the third film of 2015 and the fifth film overall to achieve this feat. 340. It topped the international box office chart for 5 consecutive weekends, becoming the first film since Avengers: Age of Ultron, 2015, to have 5 straight wins, before being dethroned by The Revenant in its 6th weekend. 341. In Japan, it topped the box office for 6 straight weekends. 341. Critical response. Star Wars: The Force Awakens received overwhelmingly positive reviews from critics. 342. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 93% of 449 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 8.3/10. The website's consensus reads, "Packed with action and populated by both familiar faces and fresh blood, The Force Awakens successfully recalls the series' former glory while injecting it with renewed energy." 343. Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 80 out of 100, based on 55 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. 344. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of A on an A+ to F scale. Women, and people under the ages of 25 and 18 gave it an A+, while 98% of audiences gave it either an A or a B. Audiences polled by PostTrack gave the film an 88% definite recommend, while 96% said it met or exceeded their expectations. 345. Robbie Collin of the Daily Telegraph said the film sets out to shake Star Wars from its slumber, and reconnect the series with its much-pined-for past, and it achieves this both immediately and joyously, is perhaps the single greatest relief of the movie-going year. 346. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian said that it was both a narrative progression from the earlier 3 films and a shrewdly affectionate next-gen reboot, and it was ridiculous and melodramatic and sentimental, but exciting and brimming with energy and its own kind of generosity. 347. Variety's Justin Chang wrote that the film has sufficient style, momentum, love, and care to prove irresistible to any who have ever considered themselves fans. 348. Richard Roper of the Chicago Sun-Times described it as a beautiful, thrilling, joyous, surprising, and heart-thumping adventure. 349. Ann Hornaday, writing for The Washington Post, thought the film had enough novelty to create yet another cohort of die-hard fans, and the film struck all the right chords, emotional, and narrative, to feel both familiar and exhilaratingly new. 350. The Charlotte Observer's Lawrence Topman said Abrams had pulled off a delicate balancing act, paying clever homage to the past. 351. Mick LaSalle of the San Francisco Chronicle gave the film his highest rating and called it the best Star Wars sequel yet and one of the best films of 2015. 352. Frank Pallotta, reviewing the film for CNN Business, found it was the best Star Wars film since the original trilogy and that it is bound to be a film experience long remembered by fans and non-fans alike. 353. Tom Long of the Detroit News wrote that though some may find the film too similar to the original Star Wars, it leaves the ungainly and unneeded clumsiness of the subsequent prequels far behind, and the energy, humor, and simplicity of direction has been recaptured. 354. The Tribune Star called it basically the same as the original film, but isn't that what we all wanted anyway? 355. Stephanie Zacharek of Time wrote that Abrams had delivered everything we expect, as opposed to those nebulous wonders we didn't know we wanted. 356. Reviewing for Forbes, Scott Mendelson cited the film's top-tier production values and a strong sense of scale and scope, but felt it was so much an exercise in fan service that it is only due to the charisma and talent of our newbies and J.J. Abrams' undeniable skill as a visual storyteller that the Mad Libs narrative doesn't outright destroy the picture. 357. Brian Merchant of Motherboard said that the film is supposed to be all about exploring the unexplored, not rehashing the well-trod, and that one of the most unabashedly creative enterprises of the 20th century has been rendered another largely enjoyable, but mostly forgettable Hollywood reboot. 358. RoachRevert.com's Gerardo Valero said the movie plagiarized A New Hope and resorted to nostalgia. He felt that it didn't justify a return to the universe from not having an original story of its own to tell in the plot, characters, and musical score, negatively comparing it to George Lucas' prequel trilogy, and that some of its climactic moments felt unearned. 359. From George Lucas. In an interview with Charlie Rose that aired on December 24, 2015, Lucas likened his decision to sell Lucasfilm to Disney to a divorce and outlined the creative differences between him and the producers of The Force Awakens. Lucas described the previous Star Wars films as his children and criticized the retro feel of The Force Awakens, saying, "I worked very hard to make my films completely different, with different planets, with different spaceships, to make it new." Lucas also likened Disney to white slavers, which drew some criticism. He subsequently apologized. 361 In a 2019 memoir, Disney chairman Bob Iger said that Lucas couldn't even hide his disappointment towards Abrams' interpretation. According to Iger, Lucas said, "There's nothing new after seeing the film, and that there weren't enough visual or technical leaps forward." 363 Lucas preferred Rian Johnson's sequel The Last Jedi and the anthology film Rogue One, 2016. 365 Accolades. Main article, list of accolades received by Star Wars, The Force Awakens. Several awards held their nominations before the December release of The Force Awakens, making the film ineligible for the 73rd Golden Globe Awards and some other awards ceremonies. 366 However, the film was added to the 21st Critics' Choice Awards slate of Best Picture nominees after a special vote by the Board of Directors. 367 And the announcement of the 2015 American Film Institute Awards was delayed until after the release of The Force Awakens. 366 Where it was named one of the top 10 films of 2015. 368 At the 88th Academy Awards, The Force Awakens received nominations for Best Film Editing, Best Original Score, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Visual Effects. 369 The film's other nominations include 4 British Academy Film Awards, winning 1, and a Critics' Choice Movie Award. 371 Fan Backlash. The release of the first film trailer for The Force Awakens in 2015 spurred a racial backlash against the casting of Boyega, a black British actor, in such a prominent role. 373 Some social media users called for a boycott of the film, which they accused of being anti-white. 374 And of promoting white genocide. 376 One such account promoted the cultural Marxism conspiracy theory. 377 The character of Rey was also criticized as a too perfect Mary Sue character by a group of fans who became known as the Fandom Menace, who focused their ire at Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy, whom they accused of spoiling the film franchise by including forced diversity and pro-feminist politics. 378 Sequels. Main articles, Star Wars, The Last Jedi and Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. The Force Awakens was followed by the sequels The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, which conclude the sequel trilogy. 70 both grossed over $1 billion, ranking among the highest grossing films of the year. 380 The Last Jedi garnered positive reviews from critics while The Rise of Skywalker received a mixed response. Daisy Jazz Isabel Ridley, born April 10, 1992, is an English actress. She rose to prominence for her role as Rey in the Star Wars sequel trilogy from 2015 until 2019. Following the Star Wars films, Ridley appeared in the mystery film Murder on the Orient Express, 2017, and played Ophelia in the romantic drama Ophelia, 2018. She had voice roles in the animated film Peter Rabbit, 2018, and the video game 12 Minutes, 2021. She subsequently had leading roles in the science fiction film Chaos Walking, 2021, the independent drama Sometimes I Think About Dying, 2023, and the psychological thriller The Marsh King's Daughter, 2023. She also portrayed Gertrude Adderley in the biographical drama Young Woman and the Sea, 2024. Early life. Ridley was born on April 10, 1992 in the London Borough of Westminster, and grew up in Maida Vale. 1-2 She is the youngest of 3 daughters born to Christopher Ridley, a photographer, and Louise, née Fauner Corbett, who works in internal communications for a bank. 3-4-5 She has 2 older sisters, Kika Rose and Poppy Sophia 6-7, as well as 2 older half-sisters. 8 Her mother's family, the Fauner Corbetts, were landed gentry with a military and medical background. 9 Her paternal great-uncle, Arnold Ridley, served in the military as well. 10 He separately forged a career as a playwright and actor, and is best remembered for playing Private Godfrey in the sitcom Dad's Army. Arnold Ridley's brother, Daisy's grandfather, John Harry Dunn Ridley, OBE, was head of the engineering secretariat at the BBC from 1950 to 1965. A. Ridley has stated that while growing up, her favorite film was Matilda, 1996, and she viewed the character Matilda as a role model. 16 While not a particularly strong Star Wars fan as a youth, she enthusiastically followed the Harry Potter series. 8. Ridley won a scholarship to Training Park School for the Performing Arts in Hertfordshire, which she attended from ages 9 to 18. 17-18 She then studied classical civilization at Birkbeck, University of London, before dropping out to focus on her acting career. 18 Prior to being cast in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Ridley worked for more than a year as a bartender at 2 different pubs in London. 19 In 2016, she began studying for a BA in social science through online courses with the Open University. 2021. Career. 2013 to 2015, Beginnings and Star Wars Breakthrough. Ridley began her career with minor roles in the television programs Yonkers, Toast of London, Silent Witness, Mr. Selfridge, and Casualty. 22, 23, 24, 25 Excessive citations. She appeared in the short film Blue Season, which was entered into the Sci-Fi London 48-hour film challenge. 26 Ridley played the lead in film 3 of Lifesaver. 27 An interactive film which was nominated for a BAFTA award. 28 She also appeared in the music video for Wiley's song Lights On, playing the character of Kim. 1729 Ridley made her film debut in the 2015 British independent horror film Scrawl, after her scenes from the British comedy film The Inbetweeners 2 were removed in the final cut. 30. Ridley's costume from Star Wars: The Force Awakens, on display at the Detroit Institute of Arts. In April 2014, the casting of Ridley as Rey, one of the lead characters in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, was announced. 22, 23, 24 She was cast for the film in February 2014. 31 At the time of her casting she was, according to Rolling Stone, a total unknown. 32 Her choice by director J.J. Abrams was seen as a repeat of George Lucas' move of casting relatively unknown actors for the lead roles in the first Star Wars film in 1977. 33. Ridley began filming her scenes in May 2014 at Pinewood Studios in Buckinghamshire, and prior to the film's release in December 2015, she appeared at the launch of a set of Star Wars postage stamps issued by the UK Postal Service Royal Mail, with her character Rey featuring on a stamp along with the droid BB-8. 34-35 With international revenues of over $2 billion. 36 The Force Awakens was a major box office hit and the highest grossing film of 2015. Her performance received critical acclaim, with Richard Roeper describing her portrayal as a breakout performance and adding Harrison Ford has a terrific father-figure chemistry shared with Ridley and John Boyega. 37. 2016, present, continuing career. Ridley became the executive producer of the documentary The Eagle Huntress in January 2016, 38, which premiered at the Sundance Film Festival on 24 January 2016, 39. She also recorded narration for the film's wide release. 40. Ridley was one of several actors featured on Barbra Streisand's 2016 album Encore, Movie Partners Sing Broadway. Along with Anne Hathaway, Ridley and Streisand performed the song at the ballet from a chorus line, with Ridley performing the role of Bibi, one of a trio of dancers hoping to be cast in a forthcoming show. 41-42. Daisy Ridley and producer Kathleen Kennedy discuss women who work for NASA in 2016. In 2017, Ridley portrayed Mary Debenham in Murder on the Orient Express, an adaptation of Agatha Christie's detective novel of the same name. Directed by and starring Kenneth Branagh, production began in London in November 2016. 43. She also reprised her role as Rey, opposite Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. 44. In Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which was released in December 2017. 45. In January 2018, Ridley starred in the titular role in Ophelia, a reimagining of the Hamlet tale, alongside Naomi Watts and Clive Owen. The project was filmed from April to July 2017 and debuted at the 2018 Sundance Film Festival. 46-47. In February 2018, Ridley voiced the role of Cottontail in Peter Rabbit, an adaptation of the children's stories of the same name by Beatrix Potter. 48. Waxwork of Ridley as Rey, and the droid BB-8, at Madame Tussauds, London. In December 2019, Ridley appeared as Rey in Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, the last film in the sequel trilogy. 49. She initially said she would not reprise her role again after this film. 50. And is quoted as saying, "I don't think anything could top The Rise of Skywalker for this character." However, she does show interest in returning as the character if needed, saying, "Never say never. I'm always open to a revisit. But also the beautiful thing is it's this wonderful, huge universe with all of these stories that have yet to be told. I think there's a lot of cool things to be made before any potential revisit." 51. She also saw some truth in her co-star Boyega's claim that she would feel jealous if subsequent films were made with somebody else playing Rey. 52. In 2021, Ridley co-starred in the film Chaos Walking, an adaptation of the young adult novel by Patrick Ness. She played Viola Eade, opposite Tom Holland, who played Todd Hewitt. The film was released on March 5, 2021. 53. The film had been delayed occasionally due to poor test screenings that followed the film's reshoots, and later due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It received negative reviews and was a box office flop. She lent her voice to the point-and-click mystery video game 12 Minutes, alongside James McAvoy and Willem Dafoe. 54-55. The game received positive reviews, with Ridley's performance being praised by critics. She also made a surprise appearance in Judd Apatow's 2022 movie, The Bubble, as Kate, a horny AI. The film received negative reviews. In July 2023, Ridley was announced as the host of a True Spies podcast miniseries about Lee Harvey Oswald. 56. Ridley started filming the lead role in The Marsh King's Daughter in Ontario, Canada on June 7, 2021. Filming wrapped on August 6, 2021. 57-58. She voices a character in the French stop-motion animated film The Inventor, which was released in the United States on September 15, 2023, and set for a French theatrical release in 2024. 59. In 2021-22, she shot an indie film titled Sometimes I Think About Dying in Astoria, Oregon, with Rachel Lambert directing and Ridley additionally serving as a first-time main producer on the project. 60-61. She starred in Magpie, a contemporary noir thriller written by her partner Tom Bateman, based on Ridley's original story idea. 62-63 She also starred in a biopic for Walt Disney Pictures titled Young Woman and the Sea in the role of Gertrude Adderley. 64-65 Upcoming projects. Ridley joins the cast and crew of The Last Resort in meeting Philippine President Bongbong Marcos, Center, in Manila in 2025. In October 2021, Ridley signed on for a sci-fi mystery thriller film called Mindfall with Matthew Kasovitz attached to direct. 66. On April 7, 2023, it was revealed at Star Wars Celebration that Ridley would reprise her role as Rey in an upcoming untitled Star Wars film directed by Charmin Obaid-Chinoy with Ridley appearing on stage. 67-68. In March 2025, it was announced that Ridley would star alongside Alden Ehrenreich in the upcoming romantic comedy The Last Resort, directed by Donald Petrie. Production began in April. 69. Personal life. Ridley resides in Primrose Hill, London. Since 2017, she has been in a relationship with actor Tom Bateman, whom she met on the set of Murder on the Orient Express. 70-71 In January 2023, during the Sundance Film Festival, Ridley confirmed that she and Bateman had married. 72. In 2016, Ridley revealed she had been diagnosed with endometriosis and polycystic ovary syndrome at age 15, requiring her to undergo multiple laparoscopic surgery procedures. She states that her condition left her feeling low in self-confidence due to acne which followed. 73-74-75 In 2023, Ridley was diagnosed with Graves' disease, which gave her a racing heart rate, weight loss, and fatigue, among other symptoms. 76. Ridley has followed a vegan diet since at least 2017-77 and has gone gluten-free following her Graves' disease diagnosis. 76. Social media presence. Following the 2016 Teen Choice Awards, which paid tribute to victims of gun violence, Ridley posted an anti-gun violence message on both Instagram and Facebook. Her post prompted backlash from the public, with critics accusing her of hypocrisy in reference to the violence depicted in her Star Wars films. 78 Because of this, she deleted her social media account 78-79 but briefly returned to Instagram, claiming the reason for the deletion was because she had a busy few months ahead and so wanted less distractions. 78 She reiterated the statement in 2017, saying that social media is highly unhealthy for people's mental health, including hers. 80 Ridley further commented on the topic in a 2019 interview, vowing never to return to social media. She said, "I honestly think now with social media and stuff, it's great to have freedom of expression, but I do feel like people think opinions have so much weight. I don't really think bad vibes should have the sun shone on them. It's dangerous. It's great in that respect for people who are in serious and dire situations to be able to be communicating, but for the most part I think no. 81. On April 4, 2022, Ridley returned to Instagram again after 6 years of being off the platform. 82 In her first post, she is seen sipping tea and engaging in self-care, refreshed, recharged, and ready for what I'm calling my year of yes. 83-84 Ridley was welcomed back to Instagram by her Orient Express co-star Leslie Odom Jr. and Chewbacca actor Junisu Odomo. Adam Douglas Driver, born November 19, 1983, is an American actor. His breakout performance as an emotionally unstable actor in the HBO television series Girls, 2012-2017, earned him 3 consecutive Primetime Emmy nominations. Driver made his film debut in J. Edgar, 2011, and played supporting roles in Lincoln, 2012, Frances Ha, 2012, Inside Llewyn Davis, 2013, and While We're Young, 2014, before gaining wider recognition for his portrayal of Kylo Ren in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, 2015-2019. He won the Volpe Cup for Best Actor for a leading role in Hungry Hearts, 2014, and received consecutive Academy Award nominations for Best Supporting Actor for playing a Jewish police officer infiltrating the KKK in Black KK Klansman, 2018, and Best Actor for his role as a theater director going through a divorce in Marriage Story, 2019. One Driver garnered further acclaim for portraying the titular character in Patterson, 2016, Father Francisco Garib in Silence, 2016, Jacques L. Gris in The Last Duel, 2021, and Enzo Ferrari in Ferrari, 2023. 2. He has also acted in films such as Logan Lucky, 2017, The Report, 2019, Annette, 2021, House of Gucci, 2021, and Megalopolis, 2024. On stage, Driver made his Broadway debut in Mrs. Warren's Profession, 2010, and subsequently acted in Man and Boy, 2011, and Burn This, 2019, the latter of which earned him a nomination for the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Play. Driver is a veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps. 3-4 He also was the founder of Arts in the Armed Forces, a non-profit that provided free arts programming to American active duty service members, veterans, military support staff, and their families worldwide. 5. Early life. Driver was born on November 19, 1983, in Fontana, California, east of Los Angeles. 6-7 He is the son of Nancy Wright, née Needham, a paralegal, and Joe Douglas Driver. 8-9 His father's family is from Arkansas, and his mother's family is from Indiana. His family moved to San Diego, where Driver spent time with them until he was 7 years old. 10-11 After his parents were divorced, Driver and his mother moved to Mishawaka, Indiana, where he was primarily raised by his stepfather, Rodney G. Wright, a Baptist minister. 12-13 Driver graduated from Mishawaka High School in 2001, while spending time with his older sister and mother at their hometown. 14-15 Driver was raised Baptist, and sang in the choir at church. 16. Driver has described his teenage self as a misfit. He told M Magazine that he climbed radio towers, set objects on fire, and co-founded a fight club with friends, inspired by the 1999 film Fight Club. 17 Throughout high school, he was active in choir and theater, participating in school productions of How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, Into the Woods, and Guys and Dolls. 18 He applied to Juilliard School for Drama knowing that they would not look at his grades from high school, but was not accepted. 19 After high school, he worked as a door-to-door salesman selling Kirby vacuum cleaners and as a telemarketer for a basement waterproofing company and Ben Franklin Construction. 20. Driver while a U.S. Marine. When Driver was 18, he attempted to start his acting career in Los Angeles, leaving Indiana by car and breaking down in Amarillo, Texas. He spent his money repairing his car only to make it to Santa Monica, California, where he lived in a hostel for 2 days and was scammed by a real estate agent he paid to find him an apartment. He realized he did not have enough money to live, returning to Indiana after only a week away from home. 21. Shortly after the September 11th attacks, Driver enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. 6. He was assigned to Weapons Company, 1st Battalion, 1st Marines as an 81mm mortar man. 22. He served for 2 years and 8 months, before fracturing his sternum while riding his mountain bike. 23. Subsequently, Driver attended the University of Indianapolis for a year before auditioning again for Juilliard, this time succeeding. He got the news he was accepted while at work at the Target Distribution Center in Indianapolis. Driver has said that his classmates saw him as an intimidating and volatile figure, and he struggled to fit into a lifestyle so different from the Marines. 17. He was a member of the Drama Division's Group 38 from 2005 to 2009, where he met his future wife, Joanne Tucker. He graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in 2009. 24. Career. 2009 to 2014, early work. Driver in September 2014. After graduating from Juilliard, Driver appeared in both Broadway and off-Broadway productions. Like many aspiring actors, he occasionally worked as a busboy and waiter. 25 Driver appeared in several television series and short films. He played a repentant witness and reluctant accomplice to an unsolved assault in the final episode of the television series The Unusuals. He made his film debut in Clint Eastwood's biographical film J. Edgar. In 2012, Driver starred in the HBO comedy drama series Girls, as the emotionally unstable boyfriend of a writer, Lena Dunham. He received 3 nominations for the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy Series for his role. 26 Driver played telegraph and cipher officer Samuel Beckwith in Steven Spielberg's historical drama Lincoln, and Lev Shapiro in Noah Baumbach's comedy drama Frances Ha. 27 He starred in the drama Not Waving But Drowning and the romantic comedy Gaby. He garnered major off-Broadway recognition for playing Cliff, a working-class Welsh house guest in Look Back in Anger, and won the Lucille Lortel Award for Outstanding Featured Actor in a Play. 28. In 2013, Driver appeared in the drama Bluebird and the romantic comedy What If? He played a musician in the Coen Brothers' black comedy Inside Llewyn Davis, and photographer Rick Smolin in the drama Tracks. In 2014, he played a despairing father in the drama Hungry Hearts, an aspiring filmmaker in Noah Baumbach's comedy While We're Young, and the black sheep of a dysfunctional Jewish family in the comedy drama This Is Where I Leave You. For his performance in Hungry Hearts, Driver won the Volpe Cup for Best Actor at the 71st Venice International Film Festival. 29 For Vogue's September 2013 issue, Driver appeared alongside Canadian model Daria Werboe set in Ireland, photographed by Annie Leibovitz. 30. 2015 to 2019, worldwide recognition. Driver in July 2015. In early 2014, Driver was cast as villain Kylo Ren in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, 2015. 3132 It was released on December 18, 2015, to commercial and critical success. 33 He reprised the role in The Last Jedi, 2017, 34 And the Rise of Skywalker, 2019. 35 His performance was positively received. David Adelstein of Vulture wrote, "The core of The Last Jedi of this whole trilogy, it seems, is Driver's Kylo Ren, who ranks with cinema's most fascinating human monsters." 36. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian highlighted Driver's performance in his review of The Force Awakens, calling him gorgeously cruel, spiteful, and capricious, very suited to Kylo Ren's fastidious and amused contempt for his enemy's weakness and compassion. 37. After the trilogy's conclusion, Driver sought to continue portraying the character in a spin-off film titled The Hunt for Ben Solo, with a screenplay by Steven Soderbergh, but Disney Studios rejected the script. 38. Driver in May 2016. Driver had a supporting role in Jeff Nichols' science fiction film Midnight Special, which was released on March 18, 2016. 3940 He played a 17th-century Portuguese Jesuit priest in Martin Scorsese's historical film Silence, 2016. 41 While filming, Driver lost almost 50 pounds. 42 In Jim Jarmusch's drama film Patterson, Driver played the eponymous bus driver and poetry writer. 43 It premiered at the 69th Cannes Film Festival and was released on December 28, 2016. 44-45 Driver's performance was acclaimed. 46-47 and he received multiple nominations for Best Actor from critics associations, winning several, including the Los Angeles Film Critics Association Award for Best Actor. 48 Peter Travers of Rolling Stone wrote, "Driver's indelibly moving portrayal is so lived in and lyrical you hardly recognize it as acting." 49. Patterson was included in many critics' top 10 lists of best films of 2016. 50. In 2017, Driver made a cameo in Noah Baumbach's The Meyerowitz Stories, making his third appearance in one of their films. It premiered at the 70th Cannes Film Festival and was released on October 13, 2017. 51 He played Clyde, a one-armed Iraq War veteran, in Steven Soderbergh's Logan Lucky, which was released on August 18, 2017. 52 Driver played a Jewish police detective, who infiltrates the Ku Klux Klan in Spike Lee's comedy drama Black KK Klansman. It premiered at 71st Cannes Film Festival and was released on August 10, 2018. 53 He received critical acclaim for his performance in the film and was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor and the Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actor. Driver played Toby Grummett in Terry Gilliam's adventure comedy film The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, 2018, which also premiered at Cannes. 54. In 2019, Driver played Daniel J. Jones in Scott Z. Burns' political drama The Report, which premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in Utah. That same year, Driver returned to Broadway to play Pale against Carrie Russell in Michael Mayer's directed 2019 production of Lanford Wilson's Burn This, receiving acclaim for his explosive performance and a nomination for the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Play. 55 He was part of the ensemble cast for Jim Jarmusch's zombie film The Dead Don't Die, which premiered at the 72nd Cannes Film Festival and was released on June 14, 2019. That same year, Driver starred opposite Scarlett Johansson in Noah Baumbach's Marriage Story, which premiered at the 76th Venice International Film Festival. 56-57 Reviewing the film in The Hollywood Reporter, critic John Frosch noted that Driver delivers a brilliantly inhabited and shaded portrait of a man undergoing a divorce. 58 For his performance, he received nominations for the Academy Award for Best Actor, BAFTA Award for Best Actor in a Leading Role, and the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor, Motion Picture Drama. 59. 2020, present. On January 25, 2020, Driver returned to host Saturday Night Live for the third time with musical guest Halsey. In